Thanks for joining us. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu yesterday signed the Amendment Electoral Bill 2026 amid protest and rejection from civil society organizations, prominent Nigerians, and opposition parties over the real-time electronic transmission of results. Both chambers of the National Assembly had passed a harmonized version of the bill earlier this week after heated debates, with opposition lawmakers pushing for mandatory real-time transmission of results from polling units to the IRF portal. Tinubu assented to the bill at the presidential villa in the presence of Senate President Godswill Akpabio, House Speaker Abbas Tajuddin, and other government officials. Following the signing, reactions were mixed from CSOs, former INEC officials, and other stakeholders. The president urged Nigerians to have confidence in the electoral system and charged the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) and other implementers to guard against technical glitches. In a veiled response to concerns over real-time transmission, Tinubu highlighted the country's broadband capacity as a factor and stressed the need for vigilance in ensuring credible elections. To security matters now, a raid by IS-affiliated jihadists on a military base in Borno State has killed 8 Nigerian soldiers and injured 23 others, security sources have revealed. About 70 fighters from the Islamic State of West African province, ISWAP, riding motorcycles, attacked the base at Cross Kowa village, prompting a fierce gun battle. The militants mobilized from a camp on Damba Masara Island in Lake Chad and took a long detour to carry out the assault, according to sources in anti-jihadist militia supporting the military. The Cross Kowa base, located 24 kilometers from the fishing hub of Baga, has served as a key security bulwark protecting the town from jihadist attacks. ISWAP and rival Boko Haram have intensified assaults on military installations across the northeast, including recent attacks on bases in Mandaragurao near the Sambisa forest and Bolka near the Cameroon border. These attacks have resulted in death, injuries, and the destructions of military equipment, although some assaults were repelled with reinforcement. Jihadist violence in the region has killed over 40,000 people and displaced around 2 million since 2009, according to the United Nations. The conflict has spread into neighboring Niger, Chad, and Cameroon, prompting a regional military coalition to engage the militant groups. Despite ongoing counter-insurgency efforts, attacks on military and civilian targets continue to pose a serious security challenge in northeastern Nigeria. Meanwhile, the Minister of Defense, General Christopher Musa, retired, has commended Governor Dauda Lawal for procuring armored personnel carriers, surveillance drones, and operational equipment for troops in Zamfara State. On Wednesday, the governor distributed armored vehicles and other operational equipment to troops at a ceremony held at the government house, Gusau. According to a statement by the governor's spokesperson, Suleiman Bala Idris, the 25 highly sophisticated armored personnel carriers will enhance troops' protection during deployments into high-risk areas across Zamfara. The statement also noted that other equipment purchased by the Zamfara state government includes an 80-meter endurance surveillance drone capable of covering 50 kilometers and operating continuously for 8 hours. Delivering his remarks at the launch, Governor Lawal said the defense minister's presence at the unveiling not only reinforces the depth of federal and Zamfara state synergy, but also reflects a united front and collective resolve to establish and defend lawful authority. Earlier, the Minister of Defense said the procurement of the armored vehicles by the Zamfara state government demonstrates the governor's commitment. And still on security, a bombshell investigation by Drop Site News, DSN, has revealed that the late American financier Jeffrey Epstein and former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak collaborated for over a decade to exploit Nigeria's security challenges for private profit. Based on a trove of U.S. Departments of Justice emails, The report outlines how the duo marketed sophisticated surveillance technology originally developed in Palestinian territories to gain a foothold in Nigeria's lucrative oil and logistics sectors. Epstein and Barak reportedly viewed the Boko Haram insurgency not as a humanitarian crisis, but as a strategic business opportunity. The investigation details how the pair successfully promoted field-proven biometric system, including projects at Bangkok University and a 2020 World Bank-backed initiative influencing Nigeria's national cyber infrastructure. Beyond security, their dealings opened doors for broader commercial interests, including Epstein brokering talks with DP World Chairman Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem to secure port ownership in Lagos and Badagry. High-level access, such as a 2013 cybersecurity conference in Abuja, allowed them to engage with top government officials, including then President Goodluck Jonathan, despite legislative opposition. The emails support Forest and Bolka near the Cameroon border. These attacks have resulted in death, injuries, and the destructions of military equipment, although some assaults were repelled with reinforcement. Jihadist violence in the region has killed over 40,000 people and displaced around 2 million since 2009, according to the United Nations. The conflict raises serious questions about foreign influence, corporate dealings, and the ethics of profit in conflict zones. The federal government has ordered the closure of village in northeastern Nigeria. Meanwhile, the Minister of Defense, General Christopher Musa, retired areas covered by mining license 11810 in Wase local government, Plateau State, following the death of villagers allegedly exposed to toxic gases while mining in the pit. The license, operated by Solid United Nigeria Limited, owned by Abdullahi in China, was reported to contain stored mineral prone to emissions of sulfuric oxide. An unconfirmed number of people reportedly died, raising renewed concerns over unsafe mining practices and regulatory oversight in the region. The condolence call to Governor Caleb Muftwang, Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dele Aleke, expressed sympathy for the loss of lives and dispatched a team led by Permanent Secretary Yusuf Yabo to investigate the causes and recommend sanctions. The ministry said the site was an abandoned lead mine and promised further updates as the investigation continues, highlighting the urgent need for stricter safety. The Minister of Defense said the procurement of the armored vehicles by the Zamfara state government demonstrates the governor's commitment. And still on security, a bombshell investigation by Drop Site News, DSN, has revealed that the late American financier Jeffrey Epstein and former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak collaborated for over a decade to exploit Nigeria's security challenges for private profit. Based on a trove of U.S. Departments of Justice emails, the report outlines how the duo marketed sophisticated surveillance technology originally developed in Palestinian territories to gain a foothold in Nigeria's lucrative oil and logistics sectors. Epstein and Barak reportedly viewed the Boko Haram insurgency not as a humanitarian crisis, but as a strategic business opportunity. The investigation details how the pair successfully promoted field-proven biometric system, including projects at Bangkok University and a 2020 World Bank-backed initiative influencing Nigeria's national cyber infrastructure. Beyond security, their dealings opened doors for broader commercial interests, including Epstein brokering talks with DP World Chairman. So cybersecurity conference in Abuja allowed them to engage with top government officials, including then President Goodluck Jonathan, despite legislative opposition. The emails portray a calculated effort to turn military intelligence and security initiatives into personal wealth at the expense of Nigerian sovereignty. While Barak has since expressed remorse for his ties to Epstein, the documents reveal a decade-long strategy to leverage crisis and government access. The federal government has ordered the closure of areas covered by mining license 118 gases while mining in the pit. The license, operated by Solid United Nigeria Limited, owned by Abdullahi in China, was reported to contain stored mineral prone to emissions of sulfuric oxide. An unconfirmed number of people reportedly died, raising renewed concerns over unsafe mining practices and regulatory oversight in the region. In a condolence call to Governor Caleb Muftwang, Minister of Solid Minerals Development Dele Aleke expressed sympathy for the loss of lives and dispatched a team led by Permanent Secretary Yusuf Yabo to investigate the causes and recommend rather sanctions. The ministry said the site was an abandoned lead mine and promised further updates as the investigation continues, highlighting the urgent need for stricter safety measures in local mining operations. The stewards are investigating the incident as the state reels from escalating political violence during party's World Congress. And now to business news. More Nigerians gained access to foreign exchange, boosting their spending on business travels by 366% to $672.27 million in the first 9 months of 2025, up from $146.19 million recorded in the corresponding period of 2024. The figures contained in the balance of payments section of the December 2025 Central Bank of Nigeria's quarterly statistics showed that spending stood at $231.7 million in the first quarter of 2025, rose slightly to $234.56 million in the second quarter, and moderated to $205.97 million in the third quarter, bringing the 9-month total to $672.27 million. In contrast, business travel expenditure was $77.33 million in first quarter of 2024, fell to $46.62 million in the second quarter, and further decreased to $20.24 million in the third quarter, accumulating in $144.19 million for the same period. Business travel refers to expenditure made by Nigerian residents when they travel abroad for business purposes, such as attending meetings, conferences, training sessions, or other work-related activities. Payment linked to these trips include for accommodation, local transport, and meals are captured as outflows of funds in the BOP. Since money leaves Nigeria to pay for these services abroad, they show up as debits in the current account on the services. Tickets and airfares are not included. And now to the foreign scene. The White House has warned that Iran will be very wise to strike a deal with the United States, even as President Donald Trump weighs possible military action amid strong nuclear negotiations. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said Trump still hopes for a diplomatic resolution to Tehran's nuclear program, but acknowledged that the two sides remain very far apart on key issues of following talks in Geneva. The U.S. has stepped up its military presence in the region with significant naval and air assets deployed as a show of force, while discussions over next steps continue. U.S. media reports indicates that Trump has discussed military options with advisors and that U.S. forces could be ready to launch strikes as soon as this weekend, although he had not made a final decision. The build-up follows heightened tensions over Iran's nuclear activities and recent diplomatic exchanges, with diplomacy still presented as the preferred path, but force remaining a live option. And now to the world of sports. Let's now join Aroko Tom.
Good day, I'm Aroko Tom, and this is your P&B Sports News. From the boardroom in Zurich to a legendary night for Nigerians in the Champions League, we have a massive bulletin for you today. European football was set alight last night as our Super Eagles stars dominated the UEFA Champions League knockout stage. In a 6-goal thriller in Belgium, Club Brugge and Atletico de Madrid played out a breathless 3-3 draw, but the story of the night was the Nigerian connection. Ademola Lookman, the January signing for Atletico, opened his UCL account for the club with a clinical first half tap-in after a brilliant Anthony Griezmann flick. However, fellow Nigerian Rafael Onyedika sparked a massive comeback for Brugge, firing home a rebound in the 52nd minute after later providing a crucial assist for the dramatic 90th minute equalizer. It was truly a night where Nigeria showed the world its global footballing might. The nation remains on high alert today as we await the final word from FIFA regarding the MFF's eligibility protest against the Republic of Congo. MFF officials have officially quashed social media rumors of a predetermined ruling confirming the real decision is expected today. If FIFA rules that the Leopards fielded in eligible players like Aaron Wan-Bissaka, the Super Eagles could sensationally be reinstated into the 2026 qualification list. In domestic news, Kwara United has issued a strong statement today condemning the deeply troubling crowd violence following the 1-1 draw with Rivers United on the pitch. Niger Tornadoes host Rivers United today in an outstanding match. Day 26 fixtures. Meanwhile, it is arrival day in Benin City. Over 3,000 athletes are landing in Edo State today for the second Niger Delta Games. The official draws take place this afternoon at the Samuel Ogbemudia Stadium. Huge congratulations to Eniola Bolaji, who has officially surged to world #1 in power badminton today. Victor Boniface is confirmed out for the season due to injury, while Victor Osimhen continues to dominate headlines for Galatasaray. Samuel Ikpefa is in the final training for the 2026 Milano Cortina Winter Games. That is your P&B Sports Update. I'm Al Cotton. Stay tuned for more news analysis.
All right, so thank you very much, Aroko Tom, for that sport news. Welcome to the focus of the day. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has signed the amended Electoral Bill 2026, a move that has sparked protests and pushback from civil society groups, opposition parties, and prominent Nigerians over the controversial real-time transmission of results. Now, both chambers of the National Assembly had passed the harmonized bill after a heated debate, and Tinubu's assent came amid calls for caution and vigilance. So this will surely be our focus this afternoon. And joining me virtually is a social commentator, a public affairs analyst, Osage Uyi. Good afternoon to you, sir. Hello, good afternoon. Please, can you unmute if you can hear me? Okay, good afternoon to you.
Yes, good afternoon.
Yeah,
How are you today?
I'm fine. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so what's your take on Mr. President's assent to the controversial electoral bill?
I wonder why you would say it's controversial. I think Mr. President means well for Nigerians, and assenting to that bill is a testament of his thoughts. Because if you remember the run-up to the passing of that bill, there was a lot of public outcry. The Senate had to recall what they did, and they now passed the harmonized version. And you see the speed with which Mr. President signed that version. I think that goes to show that he really means well. But on the issue of controversial, I think we should begin to understand that there is nothing that man does at this time that we can say is perfect. It is still an organic system, and it's a system that is being developed, is being tested. It shows that we are on the path to the right direction.
Okay, but why is it that opposition parties and, of course, some civil societies some civil society organizations are against this bill. Can you tell us from your own perspective? Although they've made their cases, but let me hear from you.
I know one thing about my fellow Nigerians. We are a very sentimental, right? If something is done and you feel that all your thoughts, all you want is not being done, there's that tendency to speak against it or to kick against it. Now, I'm also very versed in negotiations and conciliation. And I know one thing, if you are coming for a conciliation or a negotiation, it's give and take, right? So you don't expect to come to a negotiation table and get 100% of what you are asking for. There are times you give leeways. So the civil society, I expect them to continue asking, continue pushing, and as you continue pushing, I think the government will continue acceding, but expecting to take everybody's interest at the same time. It's a very difficult situation for everybody. So yes, I applaud them. I want them to keep coming, pointing areas that they feel there are loopholes that need to be fixed, right? So yes, like I said, it's an organic system. The more people clamor, the more the eyes of society is open to where there are loopholes, and the more those loopholes will continue to be blocked. But to believe that everybody's issue will be settled in one go, it is a very tall order.
Okay, now some of these people who are really against or rejecting this bill in the first place are arguing that this might cause voter apathy. Do you look at it from that perspective? That now that that it has become law, that it will create some voter apathy in the coming elections.
My dear friend, let me ask you this question: do we have voter apathy before now or not? We do. That has always been Nigeria's problem. We already have voter apathy as one of our major issues. You understand? So using that as an excuse, we just implore everybody, come out and vote. Say that the system will not work, but you are further and say that because you don't want to come out and vote because you feel that the bill has not addressed your own particular issues. It's still creating problems, right? Yeah. So we have been battling the issue of voter apathy, and it is one thing we need to overcome. Let us push aside the sentiments. Let's push aside the fact that our own interests are not. People's votes have power. I monitored the last election clearly, and I saw the power of people's vote. I saw people coming out, standing, ensuring that their votes count under the sun and under the rain, and the voice of the people spoke. Nobody expected an election. Nobody expected a candidate coming out for the first time to garner that huge number of votes. So whether you like it or not, the votes will count. So it is not an issue that Nigerians should say, no, it is not being done. It's just like you say you have your child attend the school and you tell them to make a change. And because the school has refused to bring that change, stop your child from going to school. You are shortchanging yourself and that child. So voter apathy exists in Nigeria. Look at the numbers. Look at states where you have about 1,000 or 1.something billion registered voters. At the end of the day, how many came out to vote?
Yeah.
Only about 380-something thousand. So voters' apathy has continued to be one of our problems. But we should look beyond it and stop looking at the excuses. We should not look at the reasons not to vote. We should look for the reasons to come out and vote.
Okay.
So apathy has always been our issue. I know that.
All right. Now, before we let you go, very quickly, what announcement are we expecting from INEC now? Because going by the amended clauses and all that in the Electoral Act. So, what announcement do you think we are expecting any moment from now from INEC?
Well, INEC has always been a body that is regulated by law. So you don't expect INEC to come out and make any announcements contrary to what has been passed, right? But INEC will always fall in line with what the Senate has passed, what the president has accepted to. And all you hear is in line with new accepted bills. So don't expect anything different from what has been thrown out there.
The point I'm trying to make. The point I'm trying to make is that a new date or new timetable for the elections. Are we going to have election? I mean, maybe one of the elections happening this year, maybe in December, and then the other in January, because considering the consideration of the clauses due to the concerns raised earlier from the earlier timetable INEC released.
Well, all I can say is that INEC still needs to go back and do their own work.
Okay, all right. Yes.
They still need to go back and study these things and see there are reasons why those changes were made. Right? And those reasons are reasons that are germane. But INEC will not come out immediately this has been passed and make them so they have a team who needs to study and look at what exactly to do to fall in line with what has been passed. So INEC will still go back, do a comprehensive study and a review, and then make the announcements. But if for reasons, maybe we'll have those elections this year, I don't know. But I'm hoping so that we have, if they announce elections to hold this year, it's going to be good for us Nigerians because then we have enough time to clamor and raise issues before the swearing in has. So whatever it is, I think is a win-win for us all.
All right. Osage Uyi, thank you very much for joining us right here on Politics and Business Television Abuja.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Osage Uyi, of course, is a political and social commentator joining us this afternoon on the focus of the day. And that wraps up today's program. But before we go, the headlines once more. Tinubu signs amended Electoral Bill 2026 amid uproar over electronic transmission clause. ISWAP attack on Borno military base leaves 8 soldiers dead. Investigations reveals Epstein and Barack exploited Nigeria's security crisis for profit. And on the foreign scene, you heard that White House presses Iran to make deal while wrapping up military presence. For more updates and in-depth analysis, follow Politics and Business Television.English on YouTube and Facebook. Connect with us on Instagram at P&B_TV_English and TikTok at P&B_TV_English. Remember to subscribe and stay informed. I am Omike Joseph Matthew, and thanks for watching. See you soon.